Alright, we just got through firing a weapon I've had in the collection for some time now. This is a Russian PPSh41 Submachine gun carbine, chambered for the 7.62 by 25 Tokarev cartridge, which is that little bottleneck, very hot round. This was originally a full auto submachine gun, cut into a kit and converted into a semi-automatic carbine by TNW, the same people who did the finished WWII KP31 and a few other different guns. They did a really good job with it. As you can see from the video, it runs very well. I've had this for a few years, picked it up off Military Gun Supply back around 2011, but haven't really shot it much at all. I think actually this one was the first time we shot this particular one. It still has the original 10-inch barrel under the shroud with an extension. You can see the step here where they put on an extension. The shroud has been extended out to give it an overall length of 16 inches. It still retains the quasi muzzle brake on the end there. Has the original 2-position flip rear sights. Has the original shoulder stock, which is in quite nice condition. There is a trap door in the butt plate which stores a cleaning rod and a takedown tool and some cleaning patches. Has an original sling on it here. The mag release is interesting. It actually folds up to keep it from accidentally being knocked and the mag dumped out. Folds down, take it out. And actually if you put the mag in, see if I can do this on camera here, it's a lot easier to do when you're not trying. The release, when you slam it in, it actually closes, so it's up there. Has this safeties here, which used to be the old selector switch. It does have the bolt hole open, as you saw me use there. Of course, it does fire from the closed bolt now. It does open as on the original. Let me cock it here so I can do it right. Hinges open like so. Pretty simple internals. You have your bolt here. You have the recoil spring. You have a nylon buffer in the back, and that's all the guts there are to it. It's basically a piece of metal bouncing back and forth. Spring-loaded firing pin. To get around the spring, you see how they actually forked the hammer. It's double-ended there. So very easy to access. Very authentic. I've got the 35 round stick mag in it, but it also feeds from 71 round drums. As you can see, it's a single feed double stack unit, so not a great design, but it was popular for a time. There's a lot of great history out there, and we'll do a blog article on the PPSh41, but just to give a brief rundown, it was adopted in the Soviet Union in 1941, replacing the older PPD series, which were, they had machined receivers and were just, you know, well built and very costly guns. The PPSh41 used a lot of stamped metal, and of course this has a single piece stock. They were easy to mass produce, and Russia did. They produced over 6 million between 1941 and 1945. They farmed out a lot of the manufacturing to small shops, leaving, you know, the crucial elements such as the barrel to be built by actual factories. So they made them in the millions, and they actually equipped whole battalions and whatnot with them, and they used them effectively on the battlefield. It was a kind of replacement for a machine gun. You know, it was either that or the Mosin Nagant. There were some SVT-40 semi-auto rifles out, but those had their own issues. So these were carried en masse into the field and were used very effectively, even against tanks. A lot of times they would send tanks through, and then send a few squads of guys equipped with these behind them to mop up leftover infantry. So they were used for anti-personnel in the field a lot. It is a relatively large and not heavy. It's actually pretty light, but obviously it's a fixed stock, so not really a whole lot as far as compactness. However, with the 71 round drum in it, it could deliver some firepower, and the little Tokarev bullet was just perfect for a submachine gun. The little bottleneck round could deliver very, very high velocities out of a 10.5-inch barrel, which this has. These were also some of the first submachine guns to have chrome-plated barrels, chrome-plated bores, I should say. So it made cleaning in the field a little easier. But yeah, you don't see many of these TNW guns out. We wanted to share these. It's a very interesting piece of World War II history. I was fortunate enough to fire a full auto of one of these about 10 years ago, and ever since then I've just always thought it'd be neat to have one even in semi-auto form, and it is a nice gun. These TNW builds are reliable, and now that the Red Army Standard ammo is out, you can feed them relatively cheap. I'd say the biggest ding against them is the trigger. Man, it is heavy. You think it's not going to work, and then it fires. So if you see in the video us kind of pulling and then like, what's wrong, that's it. It's a heavy trigger, and that's just because of the firing system, how they had to do it. Alright, well, we'll move on. Next up, for our Russian submachine guns in 7.62 Tokarev, we have a PPS43. Specifically, this is one of the Radom PPS43c pistols, which is being imported by IO Inc. These are made in Poland and imported as complete guns. They're very well done for the money. They come with usually 4 magazines and a cleaning kit. And what's nice about them, they are basically built from original all-matching PPS43 submachine guns that have been demilled. You can see this bridge here. From this back is a modern tube section made in semi-auto. That's when there's this ridge along the top, so a full auto bolt can't be dropped in. And it has a modern semi-automatic trigger group. However, everything else is original military from the 50s or late 40s, I think the 50s mostly. It has an original 10-inch long chromelined barrel, original shroud with muzzle brake, original sights. Like the PPSh41 you saw, it has a flip type rear sight. If I can do it, this one's stiff because it's new. No, really stiff. I will get you to... There we go. Yeah, it's stiff. The bolt is original, although it has been modified to fire from the closed position and to have a firing pin. The lower frame is original with original Bakelite grips. Again, the trigger group has been modified, but this metal housing is original. Original magwell. Takes original high capacity 35 round mags, and unlike the PPSh41s, these are double feed, double stack, so they actually are more reliable and easier to load. Let's see, and of course, most importantly, it has the original top folding stock intact. Now this is pinned closed. You cannot depress this button, therefore you cannot unfold it, but just for the look of the thing, to look original, it is here, which is nice. If you want to file an SBR stamp for one of these, you can go in and machine this out and add the spring, and then the stock will function as it should. These do open up just like an original submachine gun. Press this button in the back and it hinges open. You have the access to your bolt group in here. There's a buffer up here, spring bolt with spring-loaded firing pin. Cat eating food over there. You have a trigger group here. Pretty, again, very simple internals, but that's what a submachine gun is. These are nicely blued from the factory, just like the originals. The fit and finish is tight. Real well made. The only thing's rattling are the bolt and then the magazine, but everything else is nice and tight. Has an original Polish sling on it again. And yeah, these come in from Radom, Poland. The PPS43 is a further development of the PPS-42, which came out of Soviet Russia during the Great Patriotic War, World War II. It was field tested and actually saw a lot of combat during the siege of Leningrad during 42 and 43. The PPS-42 and 43 did. It was designed to be made even cheaper and faster, using fewer resources and fewer man hours than the PPSh41. That's why it's all stamped metal, very few machined mill components except for the bolt and the barrel. The only thing that's not metal on it are these Bakelite grips. That's it. They even manufactured these during the siege of Leningrad in Leningrad and used them against the surrounding Nazis. They were primarily issued to reconnaissance troops, vehicle tank drivers, and other special operators. They were to supplement the PPSh41. They did not officially replace it. In fact, fewer of these were made than were the PPSh41. About 2 million were made between 1943 and 1945, also accounting for about 40,000 PPS42s. After the war, they stayed in Soviet service, and then the design was exported to Warsaw Pact nations such as Poland. Poland started to manufacture them in small quantities in 1948 as the WZ PPS43, and then in 1951 they ramped up production and continued to make them until around 1955. Poland produced about 110,000 PPS43 type submachine guns, and they were in use up well into the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Lighter weight gun, quite compact as you can see, very durable. In fact, many have called the PPS43 the most successful, the best submachine gun of World War II. That might be debatable, but between the hot cartridge it fires, the reliable magazines that hold 35 rounds, and just how quick and easy they were to produce, it was definitely a damn good submachine gun that served the Soviet Union very well. And this semi-automatic version, imported by IO and manufactured in Radom, is a very good value at around $400, $500 these days, and they come with 4 mags and a few other accessories, and they, as you can see from the video, they run quite reliably and are a lot of fun. We'll move on. And as our final Soviet, or I guess I should say Warsaw Pact, submachine gun today, we have a PPS43/52, PPS43-52. This was originally an IO imported PPS43c pistol. It's actually my old one that I got back around 2010, 2011, right when they first came out. And Mark of MK Gun Mods converted it using an original PPS43-52 parts kit into a carbine. Very unique weapon. Basically what we had to do was graft on this buttstock in the rear trunnion section to the existing receiver. You can see where the ridge ends here and where it is. It's actually thin gauge steel. It's been welded, and he did a very nice job considering it's really hard to weld stamped steel. Had to do that. Also, on the lower, the takedown had to be modified to work with the wood stock, making it basically turn the other direction. And since we now have a working stock on the gun, we had to attach a barrel extension, as you can see. It's not something a person would do by choice, but it doesn't stick out too badly, and it allows the gun to be what it is. And it is removable if a person wants to do the SBR paperwork down the road. Just get it off. It'll be there. Other than that, it's just like any other PPS. The 43-52 was produced in Poland at the Radom factory. They manufactured these from 1952 through around 1955. It was obviously a fixed stock version of the submachine gun intended to improve accuracy, range, and just general shooting comfort. It actually has a very comfortable cheek weld on it. It does add a wee bit of weight, but not that much, honestly, because you're taking off the metal stock and replacing it with the wooden stock. So there you go. Of course, it does add length because the stock does not fold or detach or anything. It is definitely held on well. There's one large cross screw here that attaches to this nut, and there's a top tang screw and a bottom tang screw, much like on a Kalashnikov. So it has a total of 3 screws going through the stock, and it fits very securely inside the receiver. It actually goes in about an inch, so the wood actually continues inside the metal here. So very secure, very tight stock, very well done. The Polish actually weren't the first to have the idea to put a wooden stock on the PPS. They were just the first to implement it. The developer of the original PPS43, Alexei Simonov, did have some prototypes in 1945 with very similar wooden stocks to these, but they didn't ever go into mass production in the Soviet Union, and they kind of sat dormant for several years until the Polish picked it up. Well, we just got through test firing these for the first time. We tried 2 of them out of the 6 or 7 that we had MK gun mods convert for us, and we're happy to say not only did they run very well, they did improve the shooting enjoyment of the PPS43c weapon. They're just lighter recoiling and a lot more comfortable. They actually provide a cheek weld. You can actually use the sights. You know, you can get a little bit of range. So just a really neat and unique gun to add to any comm block collection, or even to make the PPS43 actually a semi-practical firearm. We just thought we'd just share something unique today, and we appreciate you tuning in. We weren't actually going to do a video on this, but it was so fun to shoot today with the large fireballs, and it actually set off a couple of car alarms so when we were shooting it, so we thought we'd just do a quick one and attach it to the submachine gun video. This is an original World War II, 1941 Soviet Tokarev TT33 pistol. This is a bring-back gun, no added safety, no import marks. It's in good shape for being surplus. It's a non-refurbish. It's all original, all matching. It's in perfectly fine shape for its age. The TT33 was a development by Tokarev from a Browning design, kind of a combination of the 1903 and the 1911. It fired the 7.62 25 Tokarev projectile, which was taken from the Mauser cartridge, the 7.63 Mauser, which was used in the broom handle. It was just made a little more potent, a little more powerful. But these were mass-produced starting in 1936 onwards, and were the standard issue sidearm of the Soviets during World War II and afterwards. They were, supplemented in the field by the older Nagant revolvers, but this was the primary gun they used. It's a powerful little gun. It is dirt simple, very easy to work on, very reliable. It has a modular trigger group in it, so if that ever got damaged. One fun fact about the Tokarev, there's not a single screw in this entire gun. The grips are actually held on by kind of a cam system with 2 bars that hold it into the frame. And again, the trigger group all just comes out as a single piece. But yeah, we just thought we'd attach it to the submachine gun video. They're really fun little guns. We will be doing a full-fledged Tokarev video later using some other Russian guns, Polish, Romanian, etc. So I look forward to that in the future. Again, thanks for tuning in, and talk to you next time.